Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby and Beardy Show. I'm Bobby. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host McBeardy, and today we will be discussing and reviewing Twisters. There are time codes below should you wish to use them. We're also on Spotify should you wish to listen to us instead of watch us. And also consider leaving a like on the video or even subscribing if you want to. That'd be lovely. And you could see us and listen to us in the future. Anyway, we're going to go straight into it this week. We're going to be talking about Twisters, like I say, and here is that rundown. Twisters is a disaster film directed by Lee Isaac Chung, screenplay by Mark L. Smith, based on a story by Joseph Kosinski. Not Krasinski, different person. The film stars Edgar-Jones, Glenn Powell, Anthony Ramos, and also featuring new Superman, David Corenswet. This is serving as a standalone sequel to Twister, released in 1996. If I was to guess, I would have said that was a lot older, but never mind. Mm-hmm. I've never actually seen the original. Have you seen the original?
What? Yes, many times.
I feel like it's one of those things that's been on TV, and I've seen snippets, but never the whole thing.
It's the perfect it's on TV, so I'll watch it film.
Yeah, I just feel like that used to be a thing. You'd put on film for ITV2 or whatever, and there'd just be the same film on for like 2 weeks straight. So anyway, originally a remake was announced in 2020. There were talks of a direct sequel, which would have been, I guess, like a legacy sequel, if you will. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Helen Hunt, who was in the previous Twister, had pitched to direct and star. In 2020, it was announced the project would be repurposed as a standalone sequel. Having watched this film, I would say this is not a sequel at all, but I haven't watched the original, so I don't know. You can answer that better. To me, this felt like a complete remake reboot. There didn't feel like there were any proper, like, there were no cameos from the original cast that are normally like really obvious, and there were no proper like, oh, you got this bit, this is a thing. That's how as a new viewer to the franchise, that's what it felt like to me. I'll just give you the release date. It was the 17th of July this year. Runtime of 122 minutes. Box office is estimated to be 150 to 200 million. Bit vague on that one. And so far, this was yesterday when I made these notes, 135 million, so it's probably a little bit more. It's doing quite nicely, but it has been marketed a lot. So hello, cat, go away.
Yeah.
So it does need to make some money back to be profitable, but it looks like it's going to be anyway.
Yeah.
Beardy, here's my question to you. Did you feel like it was a remake or a reboot or a sequel? And also, what was the story? I can't remember.
So I feel like we watched a different film. I watched a load of people playing a loved Twister board game thing on the floor. No, obviously it was the same film. It feels like I think a standalone sequel is the right way to put it. Obviously it can have followed on from the original. There's some nods to the original in it. When Kate keeps saying, like, I'm not back, that's a Bill Paxton thing. Some of the clothing that she wears is very similar to Helen Hunt's character. So there are some nods to it. It's one of those, I've seen the first, I recognize this. But it's not obviously a direct sequel. There's no returning characters. There's not even returning family characters. However, Bill Paxton's son is in the film. He's in the crowd in the rodeo sequence, I believe.
Does that count?
James Paxton.
Does that count as
No, not at all. It's just nice. It's just nice. But yeah, standalone sequel I think is right. Obviously, it follows a similar storyline, but realistically, it doesn't have to be in the same universe at all. I just like to think that it is. And it was a nice progression with the way that filmmaking has gone, audio has changed, recording has changed, CGI has changed. Yeah, it was a good progression after 20, 30 years.
It's been a while. 96. I honestly, like I said a minute ago, I would have guessed this was very early 90s, not mid.
Yes.
90s.
Yeah.
I thought this film was a bit of fun. I'm going to be honest with you. I quite enjoyed it. I would say in a quick review of it, at no point did I really feel tense, but it is a 12A here in the UK. I thought the action scenes were good. I think the film looks good for the most part. There's a couple of ropey moments with the CGI and things like that, but for the most part, I think it looks pretty good. It's fantastic. The twisters look really good. And the cast are fun as well. Glenn Powell, charisma for days. It's the year of Glenn Powell. He's been in Hitman, which was a film that was released for 20 seconds in the cinema that went to Netflix. Anyone But You, and now Twisters, all coming out in 12 months. He did Top Gun Maverick as well. So it feels like we're feeling some Glenn Powell right now. That didn't work.
Yeah. Can I give you my favorite tweet about it so far? Because it struck me this morning, and I have to. I'm sorry. This is something we don't usually do, but loved it.
Is this a new segment?
Someone commented. It could be, if there's ever funny stuff to do with it. Anyway, the quote is, Twisters is a 10 out of 10 movie for hooting and hollering. Gasps galore. I had my arms up at the screen to catch the debris. Glenn Powell has chemistry with everyone, including the storms. Makes you wish Oklahoma was a real place.
There is a lot of hooting and hollering by a specific
I completely agree.
set of cast members. Hooting and hollering an extreme amount, I would argue. That's a good tweet. I enjoy that tweet.
It's very funny.
Very much. Charisma with the chemistry with the tornadoes and twisters is very funny.
Which he does, to be fair. Like, don't get me wrong, they are another character when he's involved.
He's riding up into them. He's shooting off his fireworks.
Yes.
He's going, woo!
Yes.
He's having a great time. I don't know how those guys make any money, by the way. As Glenn Powell, okay, right. Glenn Powell and his merry gang, they're YouTubers, yuck. And live streaming YouTubers or Twitch streamers or one of the many others. And they basically go around doing challenges. It feels like they're doing challenges from their viewers.
Yeah.
Like, can you fire fireworks into a tornado? Yeah, you can. And they're hooting and hollering a lot, and I enjoy them, quite frankly.
Well, but based on all of this stuff and obviously the Glenn Powell things, it very much to me, and I mentioned this to Tegan when we were watching it, it felt like Anyone But You, but with storms. Like, the principle is very similar. He's a bad guy, maybe he's not so bad. He's misunderstood. Like, it's very much the same thing, and it's basically just him sort of do we swear on this podcast?
No, because I have to bleep it. Do it. Don't you do it.
Okay. Staring down the lens and making love to the viewers with his eyes, basically. That sounds horrible. I hate that. Please remove that somehow. You know the word I was going to say.
I'm bleeping the last 20 seconds.
Please do.
This conversation's moving on. I don't know if it is that similar to Anyone But You, because Anyone But You, there is the misunderstanding, but the Anyone But You misunderstanding is like they mishear each other on they're on the phone and someone's over talking about them and they storm off, they have an argument, and then they hate each other, but stuff.
Yeah,
you don't really have
very
that
much
as
between him and Kate.
The relationship isn't like that between him and the tornadoes.
No, but between him and Kate, like, it's very much like they don't understand each other. They think the worst of each other. Actually, they're better than they thought, and it's all really nice. And
yeah,
to me, it's Anyone But You with tornadoes.
It's not the worst thing to put on the poster. Anyone But You did really well.
No, it did. I enjoyed it. It was a fun little film.
Yeah, they have a nice little chemistry between Glenn Powell and Daisy. They have a nice little chemistry. They get off on the wrong foot, but are still like instantly flirting almost. I enjoy the Powell's character, who's called Tyler. I think I have it here somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's Tyler.
Tyler Owens. Yes, he's a classic Hollywood leading man, do first names kind of boy. That's right. Yeah, they have a fun relationship, and they think they're polar opposites, and then they learn that actually they're quite similar people. What I really enjoy about him is he spends the entire time calling her City Girl, because when he first gets introduced to her, he thinks she's from New York. Then later he learns that she's from a small town in Oklahoma. Shame that place doesn't exist. And instantly calls her, for the rest of the movie, the small town where she's from. I didn't write it down. I think he can't remember her name, quite frankly, because that's the sort of thing I do. Like,
no, he's getting too much attention. So, no, that's a really good point, and it's interesting as well, because obviously she doesn't have a New York accent either. Like, she clearly has like a farmland.
She's from the South,
accent.
like definitely.
Yeah.
So the main aspect of this film is you got your two rival storm chasers. You got the one group that is recruited by Daisy Edgar-Jones is recruited by an old friend of storm chaser. They have a bad time in the opening film, and that kind of leads her to leave storm chasing. Then she gets pulled back in. and they're all like in their lovely white shirts and they're freshly ironed and all their high-tech gadgetry. And then you get the other guys who are the disgusting YouTubers, live streamers, who are incredibly annoying. But maybe they have a heart of gold.
Maybe they do.
They do. In fact, spoilers.
I have something non-story based that I want to discuss. If that's quick.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah. So there was the director, someone I can't remember.
Lee Isaac Chung.
One of the Yes. Thank you, Lee Isaac Chung. Wanted to pay homage to the original 1996 Twisters, and for that reason recorded it in an older style, using 35mm film, I believe, which just helps with sort of detail. It's a different way rather than digital recording. It was an interesting choice, and I think it came out well, if I'm honest. Like, it's just yeah, it looked really nice. I just like anyone who does something against the grain. Don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic digital cameras around, but it's interesting to see people playing back to the old ways if need be.
And if it looks good,
don't change it. Yeah,
don't change it, or do change it in this case because you went back. But
well, yeah, true.
My favorite character though in this film, without going into spoilers, there's a character called Ben who is a London journalist. He's doing a piece on Tyler Owens Powell. He's played by Harry Hadden-Paton, and he doesn't want to be there. He spends most of the time in the film terrified. He's being driven into tornadoes when he wasn't told he was going to be. They haven't given him any safety protocol about the fact he might need to wear a harness at one point. He's vomiting. He's terrified. I think he's my favorite character by far.
No, so I'm inclined to agree a little bit, but I couldn't decide between him and Kate's mum.
Oh, Kate's mum was up there for you as best character? Okay.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Pray tell.
Well, I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but obviously there's a point where she goes back home and then kind of Tyler follows her. And this is at the point where Kate's like, yeah, very much so. To be fair, it's one of those, like, if he wasn't attractive and she wasn't slightly interested, it'd be stalking. But
if he wasn't goddamn Glenn Powell, he wouldn't be getting away with this nonsense.
But like, it's the point where Kate and Tyler aren't really getting on, and he turns up and she's like, "Oh, I'll make a place for dinner," and Kate's like, "No, he's not staying." It's like, "No, I'm making a place." Like, I just like that sort of like mother in control. Like, no, you've been single for a while. I'm making this happen. It's just funny.
Then proceeds to tell an embarrassing story about Kate running around naked and stuff as a child. By the
way.
Not
well, it is heavily explained, yes. But I like that as a character. It was fun.
So. I got a question, but it might be more related to spoilers than anything else. But
we can go into spoilers.
I don't know if it is. I think I can just ask you it now before we go into spoilers. I
okay,
feel like this is. Do you think there's any truth to any of the science they do in this film, like at all? Because I haven't looked into it. I'll be honest with you. But
okay,
and is any of that?
I know bits. So, like, seeding rain is a thing. They absolutely do that. Obviously, they want to, in some places, make it rain in certain areas or make it rain before an event so it doesn't rain during. That is 100% a thing.
Yes.
Collapsing a tornado by creating more rain, I don't know if that's a thing. I haven't done the research. I haven't gone back to uni for this yet. I will do.
I would like to think that it's getting his UCAS points sorted for the September.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it. I won't be. You'll see me in a dorm next year. No, I think it's loosely based on it. Otherwise, like there'll be some like weatherologist. I can't think of the word. Meteorologist. Somewhere going like, they beat me to it. Damn it. Which I'd like to believe is a thing, but I doubt it somehow. I think if this could be done, it would have been done. But it's a good story.
Well, slight cut there. I had a phone call from my wife who needs picking up from a station. Trains are never working in this country. So science.
Too many tornadoes.
So many bloody tornadoes. Oh, that's the thing. The film doesn't outright say anything about climate change, but there's just an influx in terrible storms. But it doesn't get preachy at the same time. Interesting strap, because obviously
I'm okay with that.
Climate change isn't real to some people. So
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Well, it's not real, is it? To some people, me.
That's what I thought. That's why I
don't believe in it. You don't believe in it. Yeah, I just feel like in today's climate, if you will, banging on about it, it's not the way to make money because people will kick off. But if you just, it's blatantly obvious that that's what's happening. It was interesting. What what I will say before we go into spoilers is, and I think these are all references to the previous film as well. But there's a lot of references to the Wizard of Oz film in this film.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't really paying attention to. At the very start, the first machine they're using is referred to as Dorothy. And then Anthony Ramos calls his team, who are called Stormpar. He names all of his little guys in their own little trucks. Scarecrow, Tin Man, Lion, and Wizard. And that caught me so off guard. Genuinely, my wife and I think we spent 2 minutes genuinely laughing to ourselves quietly in the cinema, it was convenient that we were at a 9 a.m. showing on a Sunday, because I think we probably would have annoyed people if we were laughing any louder. It completely threw me. I was like, what is this? Why have you named them this? This is stupid.
Oh my god, the fact you didn't get that instantly. I don't see a situation where, like, oh, it's a storm, it's Twister based, it's tornadoes. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Amy did explain, like, yeah, the Wizard of Oz has got loads of twisters. I'm like, oh yeah. I was not paying it. It was 9 a.m. All right.
That's what you get for a 9 a.m. showing.
Yeah, listen, I don't regret it. There were 5 people, including us too, so pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I've laughed that for that an extended amount of time in the cinema for a long time. It just completely caught me off guard. Anyway,
I can 100% in my head hear that laugh as well.
Right, let's go into big time spoiler time.
Big time spoilers. Thumbs.
Oh yeah, we've got to do the thumbs up first, don't we? It's getting a thumbs up.
We've got to do the thumbs.
We've got to do my own rules.
Big old thumbs from me.
We've got to give it a thumbs up. I really had a good time with this film. I enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what going in. I was like, it's a Twister film, but no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. Like I said at the start, I didn't really feel any sense of dread or fear, or like I wasn't worried for any of their characters really. But it's a trolley, so
I was hoping it would be sort of a spiritual successor to the original, and it kind of was to me. It had the same sort of. It's not taking itself too seriously. It's a bit cheesy. It's kind of fun. It's a bit stupid. There's some nice heartwarming moments in it. There's a few potential tension moments, but it's not a lot. And like you say, yeah, there's not a lot of threat to people really, except at the very beginning, which is very obvious, because as soon as it starts and everyone's too happy and things are too good and everyone's like, that's a big red flag of, oh my god, things are too good, things are going to go bad, and then obviously
you're introducing yourselves as a bunch of happy-go-lucky friends, and one's a boyfriend and girlfriend, and you're going to go into a tornado. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Shifty eyes. All right, straight into spoilers then. The twist of the film, if you'll allow the pun, is that Daisy Edgar-Jones finds out that her friend Javi, Anthony Ramos, has some dodgy financial backers, or one guy who is. Do you remember the owner of? Okay, this is a reference. Fairly Odd Parents, right? The animated
Doug Dimmadome.
Yeah,
Doug. Yeah, Dimsdale Dimmadome.
Yeah, the owner of. Yeah, that's him. He's the guy. So he's buying up land. He's swooping in after all these horrible twisters and events and stuff, and buying land off people so he can like turn it into big housing developments and stuff. Did you?
I have a thing. I'm sorry.
Why did they need the data for that? Well, first of all, he could have just turned up anyway.
Yeah, he's just trying to buy. So I think he's trying to predict storms so he can follow them and buy up people's land for lower costs once it's been destroyed. That was the idea.
I think he could have just
but
turned up.
Based on the fact, obviously, this guy isn't particularly good. During when we were watching it, Tegan leant across to me and was like, "You can't trust anyone with a bolo tie."
The one thing,
like, she's right, but
absolutely. The one thing this film is lacking is that guy getting his comeuppance. Quite honestly, he just disappears like at the end of the second act, essentially, and is never seen again. And at no point, what you want is a comedy moment of him throwing his hat on the floor and stamping on it, and the old classic way, or some kind of clove-based tornado shenanigans where suddenly his clothes get ripped off and he's just in his pants, but his cowboy hat's still on, obviously, and he's just embarrassed. You know, he's got his comeuppance. He needs his comeuppance. He's a bad man.
No, The sensible thing would be like him being hit by a sign for one of his own developments. Like,
oh, you want him dead, basically. I want him to be mildly embarrassed, and you want him to get hit in the face with a sign.
Maybe not dead, but like maimed, maybe.
Just maimed. May I remind you, in our Mummy review, you thought I was a maniac for saying that they could have solved all their problems by hitting somebody in the head with a brick. And now you want somebody maimed by a sign.
Yeah, there's a big difference between someone going around with a brick clubbing people
killing
and then
potential mummies who are trying to take over the world.
Yeah, well.
Oh dear.
Both can be good. Both can work.
Yeah. But the real twist is that it turns out those disgusting live streamers are actually the good guys. They sell all of their terrible merchandise to their fans who follow them around for some reason, so that they can then give out money and water and supplies and clothing to people in disaster areas when it happens. And that's when Daisy Edgar-Jones' character finds out that her friend dodgy financial backers, and that's why she goes home. That's why Tyler Owens follows her. Not creepy. It's Glenn Powell. We went through it, and then they start talking science, and they realize, oh no, your science experiment that failed and got all your friends killed at the start of the film, we can give that another crack.
By using Javi's new model, which obviously ties everyone together, and everyone has a redemption arc, which is quite nice.
He has a redemption arc. He leaves Superman by the side of the road, covered in mud. Superman just casually shouting at, I don't care about people.
Yeah.
Not nice, man.
Yeah, that was an interesting character.
I wouldn't trust him as Superman. He seems rude. Doesn't seem very pleasant at all.
Yeah.
So the gang, they techno mumble jumble their way through their plan to kill the tornado. Obviously it goes wrong. And they have to save a bunch of people in a small town cinema where the roof gets dragged off and stuff. And it's a big, exciting climax, and Anthony Ramos helps us and saves the day as well, and she drives into a tornado and just about survives.
Yeah, so I have some issues with that entire scene. Obviously, she has like this, the truck has a drill which is like 2 foot down, which is into topsoil, so that's not going to save anyone, which is slightly annoying.
It's the loosest soil in the world, yeah.
Yeah. I do like that obviously the screen in the cinema gets pulled away, so when everything kind of settles down and people are looking out, it's nicely framed. I quite liked that. Which was really, really good. There was just like some little bits that didn't make a lot of sense. But again, it's a silly film within reason. It was nicely tied up. It didn't have to make sense. The other silly bits I want to discuss are the sort of near credits scenes at the airport, but that can come a bit later.
Yeah, we will come back to that. So speaking of, actually, we'll cut to it now. The just before the credit scene, they're getting dropped off post. And Anthony Ramos is just like, oh, so people are going to say that what you did, it wasn't real, by the way. Like, and it was something else. And all your science didn't make a blind bit of difference. I'm like, yeah, that's probably because the science isn't real, is it? So you can't really leave it out there.
Yeah.
And that's the one time where, with his little digger, old Tyler Owens, he parks in the non-parking spot where he shouldn't be. When I genuinely out loud said, don't do that. Out loud in the cinema. Yeah. Don't do that. You're going to get fined so much money. Just so basically, this is so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing.
He's saying goodbye to Daisy, who's going back to New York. And the guy's trying to get him to move because he's been in the parking spot for too long. And instead of just allowing the guy to tow his car so he can go in and have the romantic end, he uses stupid little diggers to dig down. And I was like, why? You're going to get so much trouble. Just let him tow your car. It'll be like a couple of £100 fine.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those like shows of affection. Like, no, this is serious. It's irremovable. It's irreversible. You know what? It was kind of fun because the guy they got to do the "you need to move, you can't be parked here" was annoying, and obviously on purposely annoying. So it was quite nice. But it's the fact they go inside, he has this little moment, and they're like, the planes can't fly because of a storm. Better go back out. No, you've got to undo that, which is really annoying.
You've got to leave immediately. Also, they look way too happy about that. You just, honestly, there's no grieving moment for them at all. No. Granted, none of their friends died in it. Only extras died.
This time.
This time. They're like, this is great. Let's just go outside. There's a storm brewing. I'm like, guys, calm down. One last thing I would like to mention is it did start to irritate me throughout the film how many times Daisy Edgar-Jones opened a clear exit door and was then surprised to see a tornado outside.
Yes. Yeah.
So many times. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was bad. There's no other word for it. That was just bad. Like, it was, for me, the one that would hit me obviously is the cinema one, where it's a very small cinema. They've gone around the back. It wasn't that wide of a screen. Like, it had to be outside. There is nothing else.
It's a double exit door. You have to push the bar. It's a fire exit. You have to push the bars in. She opens both at the same time for dramatic effect. And I was like, what are you doing?
Oh,
There's no basement down there.
Well, yeah, for some reason that's just reminded me of something we didn't cover. I do like the fact, obviously, they do go back to one of the destroyed towns just a bit before this. And it's nice going like, oh, it's all fun and games, twisters, ha ha ha, but also there's a very real element to this.
Devastation.
And actually, this time, rather than, they made it very people focused. That yes, this film is going to make money based on the fact that people do chase this stuff, but also it's people's lives, people's livelihoods. I liked that they did that. They didn't have to, and it was quite a nice feature.
Yeah, they could have just kept it silly science nonsense, but they did try to weave a human element, show people's livelihoods and houses and businesses just torn to shreds. And also, that's how you sneak in. What's his name from Fairly Odd Parents?
Doug Dimmadome? Doug Dimsdale.
Dimsdale? Anyway, we all know who we're talking about. Yeah, he sneaks in and he throws his cowboy hat on the ground and says, I'll buy this land. He doesn't do that. He should have done that. So you get that element, and you're the bad guy. If they didn't have that, I don't think it would have had as much meaning.
Yes.
So it works. It does work really well. I've got one question for you before we wrap up, if you're ready to wrap up, of course.
I am, yes.
Do you think there will be a sequel? And if you were going to make a sequel, what would it look like and what would you do? My preference is because, obviously, they've developed a potential twister killing bit of science kit. So what would the next... Because it's doing well, and you know how Hollywood likes to make movies that have done well into sequels and stuff. What would you... Do you think there can be a sequel to this? And what would it look like?
Yes. I do think there can be, and I think because of what they've done, it needs to be not just a normal twister. They've kind of figured out how to stop twisters now. Maybe it'll be the development of it and keep running with this. Or, like I say, it would need to be more like a typhoon, more like water-based. They're trying to do it in areas where it's now water-based and you can't then kill it with water because it already has water. So that would be interesting. But honestly, I would like them to tie it into Sharknado somehow.
Okay, so you're immediately going silly. Because that's the way I think they're going to have to go. Especially if they make one or two more sequels. Is because you've kind of developed a thing that can solve them. And then you kind of have to just ramp it up. And I feel like in my head, I imagine it going Godzilla Kong style, where you go from a realistic big lizard smashing up wherever he is in the first film to 4 or 5 films on later where they've got spaceships and they're traveling to the center of the Earth.
Yeah, no, they could absolutely do that. Like, they could go down the climate change thing, and it's not just tornadoes now, but it's tornadoes and earthquakes, and how can they stop all of this? And it becomes more than just a twister-based film, but it could be that way. Yeah, 100%.
Would you like to see a sequel?
You know what? Yeah, like I said, the original one I really enjoyed. It was very much a rainy afternoon film on E4 or Channel 4. Sorry,
could have been on E4. You don't know.
It could have been. It could have been Film 4, most likely Film 4.
Most likely.
That's what I tried to say, but I didn't get it right. This, had the same vein. Like, if I find it on like Sky Movies, I'll probably watch it because it's a good laugh. And I like these films that aren't too high stakes. They're just interesting enough and funny enough, and keeps me going.
Low stakes, low threat, popcorn films are very easy to watch. I don't think there should be a sequel because I don't think storyline wise they can make it work. I don't want to see them going Sharknado style. I don't want to see them biting all these things. I don't feel like they can repeat it. Listen, they'll probably make a sequel because it is doing quite well and it might be good. I might love it. But from me now, I think leave that for a bit. Bring it back in another 20 years, honestly.
That's
I would probably do. But I'm not the big money man of Hollywood, so they're going to do the opposite of what I just said. Anything else to add? I'm not yet. Anything else to add?
No, I very much enjoyed it. Again, I've said this with other films. Go watch it. It's doing well. Support your cinema because it's nice to see them. We don't want to see them close with what's happening to Cineworld potentially closing 50 sites. Go to a Cineworld. just go see it.
Just don't go at 9 a.m. That's when I go. Go to a different showing. Thank you.
Yeah, unless you want to hear him laughing, then it'll be fine. Yeah. But yeah, no, watch it. It's good. It was very funny.
All right, take us home, Beardy.
Review it. Okay. Once again, thank you for listening or watching or whatever the hell it is you're doing. You shut up. We can be found on... Yeah, keep your quietness to yourself. We can be found on Spotify if you want to hear us, YouTube if you want to see and hear us, hence the watch listen. Bobby still does his things on Twitch at Bobby Android. There might be a special cameo episode coming up soon of his streams. Who knows who it might be?
It might be you.
Well, you'll have to watch and find out. Go find him. Please go find him. Me, again, don't find. I'm doing nothing. I'm too busy. I don't even game anymore. I don't even have a camera set up to do recordings. Don't pay attention to what I'm doing now. I've derailed myself again.
No
thank
change.
You very much.
Never change for the outro.
Never change. Yeah, we will see you again very, very soon after our next time to the cinema, which we might be going together as well, holding hands and stuff.
Might go on a lovely cinema date to see Deadpool and Wolverine. But that'll be what we're reviewing next, unless some shenanigans occur. Thank you so much for watching and listening, everybody. We will see you. Well, you'll see us next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.